is a show full of representation when it comes to family life, and there are many different types of families in the series. But did you know that there are even families who adopted their pups? One of these adopted pups is Bingo. Well, actually, this is just a theory, but for a long time, fans believed that this theory could really be canon. The argument comes from the fact that the show gives hints that Chili, Bluey's mom, suffered a miscarriage. In the show, for example, a balloon representing a pregnancy pops, and both Chili and Bandit look visibly shaken. The theory suggests that after having Bluey, the couple struggled to conceive again, and, for this reason, decided to adopt Bingo. This would explain why the two Healer sisters have different fur colors. Another detail that reinforces this idea is Chili's older sister, Brandy. In the episode Onesies, it is revealed that she has fertility issues, which led her to avoid contact with the family for years, since seeing her sister raising two daughters was painful for her. Man, that must be really painful. Just imagine watching your sister have the one thing you want the most, but is impossible for you. I totally understand Brandy. Fans suggest that Brandy may have given birth to Bingo, but for some reason, wasn't ready to be a mother at that time, leading Chili and Bandit to adopt her. Now that Brandy finally wants to have children but can't, this would explain the tension between her and the Healers. A strange detail in this episode is when the girls finally meet their aunt. Brandy points out how much Bluey looks like Bandit. Naturally, Bingo wants to know who she looks like, and Brandy hesitates. But Chili then says that Bingo looks like Brandy, making Brandy uncomfortable, and she quickly changes the subject to show the onesies she bought for them. Many people interpreted this as Brandy changing the subject to avoid revealing that Bingo is actually her daughter. But nowadays, we know it's simply because Brandy was uncomfortable with the idea of having a child who looks like her, given her infertility struggles. So, grab your leopard print onesies, and let's chase the truth in this episode to find out whether Bluey and Bingo are adopted, or if there are other pups in the show who might be adopted too. It's time for another episode of Zigzag. Another theory that fans quickly adopted while the episodes were still being released is the possibility that Bluey might be adopted instead of Bingo. The setup for this theory is the same as the Bingo theory, which comes from the balloon popping moment in the show. If you look closely, the balloon is blue, the same color as Bluey, and fans started thinking, what if it wasn't the pregnancy after Bluey, but before her? This would make more sense than them adopting a second pup, since this kind of tragedy is more common in a first pregnancy. So, the sequence of events would be that Chili lost the first baby, then they adopted Bluey, and about 2 years later, they were able to have Bingo naturally. This would explain why each sister is a different color, but there are several arguments that completely debunk this theory. First, in the very beginning of the episode Onesies, Aunt Brandy immediately says that Bluey looks just like Bandit. Second, Bluey and Bingo have the same colors as their parents, Bandit and Chili, and that doesn't mean they are adopted, because we see the same thing happen with their cousins, Muffin and Socks, who have the same colors as their parents, Stripe and Trixie. And the argument that completely hammers down on this Bluey theory is the episode Rain, where Bluey tries to stop the rainwater from reaching the sidewalk while Chili watches. At the end of the episode, we see a double rainbow, and this has a huge meaning. Do you know what it is? Here it is. The term used when a mother is able to get pregnant after losing a previous pregnancy is to refer the new family member as Rainbow. So, since Chili lost her first baby and then had her two daughters, it means that Bluey and Bingo are rainbow pups. And since there are two rainbows, they represent the two sisters. So no, neither Bluey or Bingo are adopted, but that doesn't mean adoption doesn't exist in the show. Do you want to know which Bluey character is actually adopted? Then type #Bluey in the comments to let us know you're enjoying the video. Missy, the sweet and gentle Australian Terrier, is one of Bingo's best friends in kindergarten. Unlike the other kids, she is much shyer and seems to be afraid of certain more adventurous games, as seen in the episode Pirates. Fans have noticed that this difference in Missy's personality could indicate that something deeper is going on with her. It is common for adopted pups like her to be more reserved, as they often live with the lingering doubt of whether they truly belong where they are, since they don't have their biological parents. And that was exactly the question. since the show never showed Missy's parents. She appears in the first season and then only again in the third season. And it is precisely in this more recent episode, Pass the Parcel, where multiple birthday parties take place, and the pups play a version of the game suggested by Lucky's dad, in which only one winner gets the prize. When the little ones lose, they run to their parents for comfort. At that moment, Missy throws herself into the arms of a woman of the German Spitz breed, and so far, we've seen that when talking about Bluey, Bingo, Muffin, and Socks, all of them are of the heeler breed, just like their parents. But Missy is an Australian Terrier, and her mother is a German Spitz. That doesn't make sense, does it? However, the show does not explicitly state that she is her mother, but we can safely assume that she is, because the birthday party setting and the fact that every pup runs into their mother's arms in that scene strongly suggest that this is indeed Missy's mom, which means she is adopted. Or at the very least, like some other characters on this list, Missy's mother may have married someone of another breed, which is why they don't look alike. Another type of adoption that we haven't mentioned, and that may have happened with Missy, is exactly what happened with Winton and the Terrier triplets. As we can see throughout the series, Cornelius, Winton's father, is a lonely bulldog searching for love and companionship. The divorced bachelor is seen in multiple episodes, going on dates with different women, but unfortunately, Cupid doesn't seem to land a single arrow. We can see him, for example, in the episode Coffee, going out with a woman at the playground, where Bandit befriends Fido. Then, in the Quiet Game, we see him with another woman, walking down the street and eating ice cream. Apparently, none of those relationships turned into anything long-term, but in the episode TV Shop, everything changes when he comes across the terrier's mother, while Bluey and her friends try to find Coco through the security camera. And this time, everything worked out, because at the very end of the sign, we see Cornelius holding hands and hugging the terrier's mom as they choose a house to live in together. So, in this way, the terriers were adopted by him and Winton by her. Honestly, Bluey does an amazing job representing different family structures, and you can be part of the Zigzag family. Just click the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Since we've established that the show's rules dictate that when a pup has the same fur coloring as their parents, it means they are biologically related, right? We see this with Bluey and the Heelers, with Judo and her mom, with Lucky, Chucky, and Pat, and so on. But there's one member of the Heeler family who looks so different that it raises some doubts. We're talking about Bandit and Stripe's older brother, Uncle Radley. It's surprising to think he might be adopted, because if you look at his brothers, both Bandit and Stripe share similarities with their bluish fur color. And this makes sense when you look at their parents, Bob and Nana, who are both blue and grayish. But Radley, besides having the fur of a red heeler and his stylish hair, is also kind of bluish from the waist down. But where does the characteristic red heeler fur, like Chili and Bingo's, come from? That's the mystery I can't solve, since his parents are blue and grayish. One theory is that Uncle Rad was adopted by the Heeler grandparents, but something strange about this whole theory is that, based on Bandit's description of his parents in the episode Fairy Tale, they don't seem like the kind of people who would have been open-minded enough to adopt a pup back in the 80s, especially considering Rad is the oldest, which means they would have had to adopt him before having Bandit and Stripe. Another thing is that on the official website, they state that Radley's breed is both a blue and red heeler, meaning they created a special breed just for him in the show, since this mix doesn't exist in real life. So, what's your theory about Uncle Rad?